Stories behind Cinco de Mayo, Memorial Day, and Trump's first 100 days are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is May 5th, 2025. It is the 125th day of the year. There are 240 days left in this year. It is the 18th Monday of 2025 and the 47th day of spring. There are 46 days left until summer. Today, being a couple different holidays, is Revenge of the 5th Day. In case you're a Star Wars fan, you know a lot of Star Wars enthusiasts, fans, whatever, celebrate May 4th as the Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, is what they say. Like in Star Wars, may the Force be with you. Not wanting just one day, when Revenge of the Sith came out, they decided to have another day called Revenge of the 5th. 1862, Cinco de Mayo, the Battle of Puebla. Now, a lot of people always think that Cinco de Mayo celebrates Mexico gaining independence from Spain, which is incorrect. It was actually France. On May 5th, 1862, something pretty unexpected happened in Mexico. A ragtag, outnumbered Mexican army managed to beat back one of the most powerful military forces in the world at the time, the French. This wasn't just a lucky break or small scuffle. This was the Battle of Puebla, which became a defining moment of Mexican resistance. France, under Napoleon III, who, in case you don't know, is the nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, the Emperor of France. Remember, little short guy, funny hat? Which the funny hat part is true. The short thing, not so much. He was 5'6½". And by today's standards, that's considered average. And back then, people were a little bit shorter, and he was considered, I would say, on the high side of average. But he had grand plans to turn Mexico into a European puppet state. They figured it would be a cakewalk. After all, Mexico was politically unstable, recovering from a civil war, and in debt to the European powers. But General Ignacio Zaragoza, leading about 2,000 ill-equipped Mexican soldiers and local indigenous fighters, had other ideas. He didn't think this was a good plan for Mexico. And the French weren't on board with discussing it. They had their own plan. They were sticking to it. So the French army, very powerful at the time, landed in a couple places on the Gulf of Mexico side and started marching towards Mexico City. They almost got there. The ill-equipped Mexican army was facing nearly double the number of French troops, who were better armed and more experienced. Zaragoza's forces dug in at a couple forts they had near the city of Puebla. Against all odds, the Mexicans held their ground. The French charged multiple times, expecting a quick victory. Instead, they were repelled again and again, and eventually retreating in defeat. The battle didn't end the war. France came back with a vengeance the next year. But this victory was a huge morale booster. It proved that Mexico wasn't going to just roll over and be France's side chick. All in all, Cinco de Mayo isn't Mexico's Independence Day. That's September 16th. But it was a great moment for the Mexican people. They look at it as a symbol of pride, resistance, and underdog triumph. It's more widely celebrated in the United States, really. And for the most part, it's become a drinking holiday. (1866) Memorial Day is first celebrated in the United States at Waterloo, New York. While many towns across the U.S. claim to be the birthplace of Memorial Day, Waterloo, New York holds the official title, thanks to a consistent and organized effort that began on May 5th, 1866. Just a year after the Civil War ended, residents of Waterloo came together to honor the fallen Union soldiers by closing businesses for the day, flying flags at half-staff, and decorating the graves of the war dead with flowers and wreaths. This wasn't a one-time event either. It became an annual tradition that mirrored the nation's growing need to grieve, reflect, and recognize the enormous human cost of war. The idea of Memorial Day, which was originally known as Decoration Day, soon gained traction in other states, especially in the North. But Waterloo stood out because it's a well-documented, community-wide observance that wasn't tied to any specific battlefield or spontaneous act. In fact, in 1966, 100 years later, President Lyndon B. Johnson officially declared Waterloo as the birthplace of Memorial Day. It's one of those rare cases where small-town civic pride actually shapes a national tradition. So next time you fire up the grill on Memorial Day weekend, know that it all started with flowers, flags, and a little village in upstate New York trying to make sense of a war that tore the country apart. 1933, the first 100 days of a president. We just had the Trump administration's, second Trump administration's first 100 days. But this has been something that the press has used to kind of gauge presidents since 1933. First 100 days of a president's first term are sometimes used to measure the president's successes and achievements when their power and influence are at its highest. Now, normally this is just during the first administration, but Trump right now has basically had 2 restarts, I guess. So the first one, and now Joe Biden, and then Trump again. So they're kind of measuring him again. The term was coined in a July 24th, 1933 radio address by U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. But the term was used in a newspaper editorial in the Seattle Star that same year, referring to how will the president's policies look after the first 100 days. And we've been using it ever since to kind of gauge how the next 4 years are going to happen. 1973 Secretariat. On May 5th, 1973, Secretariat delivered a historic performance at the 99th Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs, completing the 1 1/4 mile race in just 1 minute and 59.4 seconds, a record that remains unbroken over 5 decades later. This feat marked the first time a horse has finished the Derby in under 2 minutes, surpassing Northern Dancer's previous record of exactly 2 minutes set in 1964. This was an amazing horse. Secretariat's race strategy was unconventional. He started in last place but steadily advanced through the field. Remarkably, he ran each 1/4 mile segment faster than the previous one. This negative split pattern showcased his exceptional stamina and acceleration. If you want to see something amazing about this horse, first of all, ESPN did those 30 for 30 documentaries. They did one on that. But also in 2000, they listed the 100 greatest athletes of the 20th century. Secretariat was number 35, right behind Lou Gehrig and 2 ahead of Mickey Mantle. There were only 2 other horses to make that list, and Secretariat was the highest ranked one. In case you don't know, Man of War and Citation. I was shocked Seabiscuit wasn't on there. Anyway, Secretariat went on to win the Triple Crown, and if you want to see something amazing, you can find it online. Type in Secretariat Belmont Stakes on YouTube. They said people were in the stands crying because they had never seen anything as amazing as what they'd just seen. 1987, the Iran-Contra affair. Start of the congressional televised hearing in the United States. Yeah, it all started the hearing. Well, it had been going on for years, but the hearing and everyone getting in trouble started on this day in 1987. 2023, the World Health Organization declares an end of the COVID-19 pandemic as a global health emergency. Now, that doesn't say that it's been eradicated or anything like that. People are still getting it. It's just now they can treat it better and not nearly as many people are getting COVID. Matter of fact, I had it for like the 4th time late last year. Born on this day, 1988, Adele. Adele Laurie Blue Atkins is an English singer-songwriter. She's regarded as a British icon. She is known for her mezzo-soprano, I'm not sure what that is, vocals, and sentimental songwriting, which she's written some beautiful songs. Really not my type of stuff, but I could sit down and listen to some Adele. Her voice is that good. She has won 16 Grammys, 12 Brit Awards, which are the equivalent of our Grammys, an Academy Award, a Primetime Emmy, and a Golden Globe Award. She is a great singer. I mean, beautiful voice. She's done a lot of work, meaning she's lost a ton of weight. One of the greatest things I ever saw with her was it was like the Brit Awards. And she came out and belted out one of her songs with just a pianist. After that, the host, James Corden, comes out and goes, when you have a voice like that, you don't need pyrotechnics, you don't need dancers, you don't need a laser show, you just need a pianist. And he was right. Died on this day, May 5th, 2008, Irv Isaac Robbins. You probably don't know who he is until I tell you what he did. He's an American businessman who co-founded Baskin-Robbins ice cream parlor chain in 1945 with his partner and brother-in-law, Burt Baskin. Baskin-Robbins is normally known as 31 Flavors. If you look at their logo, you can also see that it says 31 in there. Interesting. Robbins died of natural causes near his home in Rancho Mirage, California at the age of 90. Made a lot of kids happy in their day and gave them a lot of sugar rushes. Alright, that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment. YouTube's new algorithm wants to see comments. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you know when we upload again. Alright everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.